Yet another crossroads you find yourself at, but this one feels particularly potent because you've already been doing the work. You've already been stepping forward with a certain level of magnetism. So we're talking about relationships today. How you relate to both your ongoing relationships and how you call in new relationships, and how you relate to yourself, all provide context. The hair is super wild today. So, we're getting primo information. Now, I'm Danielle Lynn, and I talk to intentional creators and rad cats such as yourself, who are more and more so remembering that you indeed are the co-creator of your reality, and you have a lot more inner power than you might have originally imagined. So as we dive into relationships here, just a reminder, you are ultimately your own inner authority. So I'm going to offer these things here as points of exploration or inquiry, and you decide what you are going to integrate as you please. Now, here's the thing that I sense. You've already gone through some pretty significant transitions, right? I know this might sound wild, but remember, we're all connected in this collective consciousness field. And so what I'm sensing specifically related to this message is you've gone through some pretty significant rebirthing. You have left things behind. You've taken some things with you, but you shed a lot. And you did connect with a new sense of inner authority. Go you. There is still, however, some, we're going to lovingly call it baggage. We're going to lovingly say there's just a little bit of something that's still being held on to or looped at a mental level, at an energetic level, something you're carrying that you don't actually have to carry anymore. And it could be something, maybe you're very aware of it in the forefront of your mind. It could also just be unconscious, but you're feeling it energetically. You might be feeling it through feeling tired or feeling slightly disconnected from the world around you and within you. Your inner world is so rich and vast. It has such a field of every single kind of solution, every single kind of insight, creativity, inspiration that you could imagine, and more. But in order to access it, it involves your active participation, you giving yourself permission to do it, not from a place of feeling disadvantaged or feeling like you're in a scarcity energy, but rather from a place of simply understanding that no matter what has happened in the past, in this moment, you have full access to yourself. You have the ability to connect, to tap in, and actually start living the path that includes the new connections you're calling forward. And that's one of the things we're talking about today, my friend. Your new connections that you are calling forward, which I imagine is actually part of the inspiration for making this video in the first place. So I'm going to invite you to take a leap of heart with me, because I'm going to share with you a message that feels deeply coherent for me, and you can see how it resonates for you. So what I sense, those that you are ready to connect with, those that are in your fractal soul line, they are already communicating with you, and you're already communicating with them as well. These are people who are coherently aligned with you and your values, and you're aligned with them. You could say that they represent business partners, relationships, friends, community members, people who coherently line up with you when you are living as your authentic self. So it's not something you have to earn or prove yourself with. And you don't need to wait or fix things more before you're allowed to connect together. This is purely about harmonics. This is purely about magnetism. So while you don't need to keep going on a quest of fixing, you are being invited to set the stage in your inner life for these relationships to more easily land in your life. And this often happens as we live more and more with harmony to our inner guidance. We receive inner inspiration of what to do, where to go, what to focus on, what hobbies to take up, what to drop out of our lives, and so on and so forth. It's not something you have to mentally coordinate or plan. This is the field of synchronicity. The field of synchronicity is a self-organizing principle that comes into effect as you live in steady coherence with yourself. Now, it's not about getting things perfect. It's not about attempting to be a perfect person. What it is it's about you prioritizing the alignment of your thoughts, your speech, your actions, your intentions, all these things are coming into alignment. And if you notice that there's a place where what you're saying and what you're doing is off balance, or what you're thinking and what you're saying is off balance, well, this is an invitation for you to get curious and be like, okay, now my top priority is to find where that coherence is, to look at this authentically, not in an attempt to quick fix it or bypass it, but to go, great, that's information. My biggest priority more than anything else is that coherence, because here's the thing. Once again, the coherence itself, it's like everything becomes easeful. The way that I might relate it would be if you and the people you were connecting with were a million miles away, but your coherence was like putting together a teleportation pad. The part of you that's your brain that's like, well, we got to just take action, would be like you starting to walk off in a direction. Whereas if you simply put all the pieces together in alignment and turn on that teleportation pad, it can be instantaneous. And this could be related to your magnetism and to your inner guidance and the steps that you take on it. Because all the parts that come together include your trust in your inner guidance. What priority do you give it in your life? Are you still experiencing some things from outdated belief structures that tell you you have to behave a certain way? None of that's a judgment, but the wonderful thing is, based on, once again, what I'm seeing from all of this, you've actually taken some significant leaps in your life. And so really, this is a little bit more about, if you have all the pieces there, then are you choosing to go all in with making that your priority and bringing it together? Consider giving yourself permission to fully stand as you are, whatever that looks like for you. Okay, some people use the word shine your light, fly your freak flag, whatever it is. You have a specific way of being, and there's a good chance that you've lightly or more suppressed it because people you had been around in the past didn't quite get you, didn't quite know what to do with you. My experience of you from what I'm reading is you're fabulous. So very awesome stuff. And please remember, we don't need to keep living off of scripts and chapters that are complete. Sometimes, this is what I think some of that baggage is, sometimes we keep carrying that forward because we have a habit with it. It made such an impression on us that even when those situations go by, we sometimes still inwardly perpetuate them. So this is just one reminder that you don't have to keep perpetuating that. And there's a lot of tools and resources that you can use to meet and tend to that part of yourself. But one of the most straightforward ways to meet it is wherever you feel resistance, wherever you feel fear or shutdown, start facing that fear. Start looking directly at it. Start taking the healthy, coherent steps that allow you to move through and then beyond that fear. Like if it's a fear of talking to people, then start exploring steps in which you get to have conversations with others. If it's a fear of sharing your voice, start looking at open mic nights. Maybe that's a big leap. But then maybe just see if there's a group nearby where you can talk to someone. This is an invitation to be honest with yourself, because it might feel uncomfortable to move in this direction, but discomfort doesn't necessarily mean that it's out of coherence for you. It just means that you are shifting from a familiar pattern into an unknown pattern. And sometimes even coherence can, on the surface, feel uncomfortable. Experience things like exercise, working out. When you start working out, it can temporarily feel uncomfortable to the body. And as you keep stepping through it with consistency, that discomfort shifts to reveal more fluidity in your movement, in your body, and in your life. And in a similar way, you can utilize your own inner guidance to pierce through the truth as to whether you're experiencing discomfort or lack of coherence when you explore an idea or topic. Now, please keep in mind, I'm not suggesting you must push or force yourself. That's not the idea here. The inspiration here is to start inquiring within so you can begin the process of taking the steps to live these ways. Some people look at this as a fight or a battle within. When you experience that, the opportunity is to do that shadow work, the internal family systems work, the self-alchemy integration work. We have a module, self-alchemy integration, that takes you through something that is like a shadow work and internal family systems work. And what you do with tools such as this is you start to give voice to the parts of yourself that feel resistant, that feel shut down, that don't want to move forward. So instead of approaching yourself from collapse or struggle, you start to work with yourself, you start to listen to yourself, you start to open up the doors of collaboration within yourself. This is no longer a time of giving excuses as to why you must delay living it. And when we delay any further simply living our lives, we create patterns of delay. I've spoken before in one of my videos the difference between resonant waiting or resonant timing and actually holding your energy back, usually out of fear. There's a subtle difference. In one of these scenarios, you're actually moving in concert and coherence with life. And it would be like, for example, if you were playing an instrument, you were playing a song, and there was a pause in the song, and you're simply pausing because that is what the appropriate note is at the moment. It's no note. Versus not even picking up the instrument because you're afraid to make a sound on some level. You're afraid of doing the wrong note or being out of tune. We're using that as a metaphor for creative expression and living your life. And so this is a level of deep self-honesty that we're all invited to. We're all invited to be that honest with ourselves. It's not a one-time thing. As you live it more and more, as you make living in coherence with yourself the priority, you start finding things happen with a lot less energy. It takes less time for things to line up. It takes less time for things to appear to turn out your way. You are naturally inbuilt to thrive. It would be like the difference between allowing yourself to be tumbled by the waves or surfing them and diving under them. I know I've used that analogy before, but it stands. So I'm going to share. In my own life, I had so many different relationships and some that were extraordinarily painful. And one of the things that I learned through all of them is anytime I gave up who I was to fit into the relationship, no matter how beautiful the person was, it never worked out. It always resulted in some sort of explosion or implosion, because we're not designed to conform ourselves out of shape to fit with another. What is ours is naturally ours. if there are compromises or shifts to make, they're not compromises that happen at the level of our deep values, of our boundaries, and of our soul essence. They're compromises that happen at a preference level, at something that is fixable and malleable. Going all in self-trust with yourself is, for me, by far the greatest shift in my life I ever experienced, because it doesn't require any systems. It doesn't require a methodology or for something outside of me to be true. It's a deep relationship within myself, within the actual fabric of life. And it connects me to paths, to pauses, and to my way of being. And the more that I've nurtured that trust, the deeper the quality of relationships and experiences that have entered my life. Now, at the time of making this video, I have felt inspired to lead another cohort. I do these very occasionally. For those who have wanted to work with me one-on-one or privately, this represents one of the portals to do so in a smaller group container and configuration. Now, it involves time, energy, and resource investment. And if it's a coherent heart yes for you to explore this, it is one of the most potent portals I have offered at this time in this juncture. It is a direct transmission experience of trusting yourself, living in embodied coherence, and meeting yourself at this juncture of life, wherever the crossroads is. Oh, that's especially it. If you have a crossroads, this is ideal. And so, my friend, in the spirit of that, if you would also like to check out that or any of the tools, you can view the description link. You can also grab the flow book, very helpful tool and resource. I deeply appreciate you. I'm glad that we are connected. I'm glad that we have taken this opportunity to explore these paths. I'm looking forward to connecting more with you, and please feel invited to share in the comments what your experience is. We'll talk more soon.